Hello everyone, in this video we'll check how realistic the damage to a plasticine BMW model is compared to a computer simulation. In BeamNG Driver, we'll see the real physics of how a plasticine car body behaves during collisions, how this material reacts and deforms, comparing it to the realistic car damage physics in BeamNG Driver. This will be an interesting, unusual comparison. We'll do 4 collisions. 2 to the front, 1 to the rear, and 1 to the side of this BMW, repeating these impacts in BeamNG. Where did I get this Need for Speed BMW M3 Gran Turismo racer model? I made it myself with my own hands using professional modeling clay. I managed to make an exact replica of the car from the game at a 1/16 scale, and you can see exactly how I created it in my full video about making this clay BMW. From the very beginning of sculpting to the fully finished model. Click on the card above or follow the link in the description. We'll be comparing the damage with the standard car in BeamNG, that's the Busi Pizima, because if we use a mod for this BMW, the damage will be too different. There will be a lot of artifacts, stretched textures and transparent elements, so we'll compare it with the original model, because it brakes better. Let's start with a head-on collision with this massive big truck. And as we can see, the damage turned out to be different because the truck in BeamNG has a high and crumple-prone bumper while my truck is too low and very sturdy. And here's how badly the truck in BeamNG was damaged, and here's how the plasticine one was damaged. As we can see, it stayed intact except for a few small scratches. So we'll crash into a flat block and compare it to hitting a wall. Now the damage resembles what we saw with the modeling clay. Of course, the impact was stronger, the angle of collision was imprinted better, and the front part was damaged more deeply, while in BeamNG it wasn't as deep. You can see how the impact spread across the car's front, affecting the fenders, which bent outward significantly. We can also see cracks on the clay from the strong bending and a tear in the center of the hood, which looks realistic, but there's nothing like that in BeamNG. The corner of the wall left a worse imprint on it, and the roof pillar was also damaged. It shifted upwards, but we don't see anything like that on the BMW. Now let's perform the next crash test. That's what we get. Both cars have similar damage. Bent fenders, but the BMW's roof didn't bend as much. From the front, we see very similar deformation of the hood, side fenders, and bumper. The plasticine BMW has a lot of cracks and scratches that stand out, while the real BMW has no scratches. The headlights fell off, whereas on the BMW, they were crushed inward into the body. These small details make the BMW crash look more realistic. From the car's side, we see the hood bent similarly, but the BMW's side fenders bent more and the wheels shifted backward. The roof is bent up a lot. Let's see how the back of this beauty bends now. This time, the damage is different. The BMW was damaged more severely, but only part of its trunk was bent, while on the second car, the deformation spread across the entire rest of the body. On the BMW, the trunk was pushed inside, while on the other, it bent upward and remained outside. The BMW was damaged up to the wheels and flattened, while the second car's entire rear, including the roof and rear doors, was bent. That's how it should be. Now let's see a collision with a pole, the trunk covering part of the car. The damage turned out to be similar. On the BMW, we can clearly see how the round pole left an imprint on the sill and the door itself, while on the second car, the shape is not as clear and noticeable. The BMW bent incorrectly. This is what the clay damage looks like. The clay bends only at the point of impact and doesn't affect the neighboring parts. Now let's sum up our comparison of the clay crash test with BeamNG Drive. The front damage really does turn out similar. The hood, bumper and headlights get deformed, but the side fenders don't deform well because of the strong wheels. To bend them, you need much more speed. The rear part bent unrealistically. It crumpled only up to the wheels, and the roof and doors weren't damaged. The clay model doesn't have body flexibility. Only the part that the car crashes into gets deformed. In BeamNG, we saw deformation of the entire body part, as we clearly saw during the rear-end collision. when the BMW bent only up to the wheels, but in BeamNG the entire rear body was damaged up to the roof and doors. The plasticine version doesn't have a solid frame that could imitate such damage physics and tear apart neighboring elements. The damage looks similar, but if you compare the details, there are big differences. The plasticine does a decent job showing body deformation, but it doesn't reach realistic physics. That's the comparison we got. I hope you found it interesting. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye everyone.